NBA Fantasy Start, Sit Guide for Week 18. RotoWire highlights the best players to start at each position, heading into Week 18 of fantasy basketball. Juan Blanco, RotoWire.com. February 18, 2025, 12:51 a.m. With 3 games on tap in Week 18, it's time to get Lakers starting center Jaxson Hayes into your fantasy lineups. Post-All-Star break. Play post-All-Star break games don't begin until Wednesday, but we still have a solid fantasy week ahead. Several teams have full schedules, 3 games, providing useful starting options. The Kings, with a rare 1-game schedule, make it necessary to bench some of their players. Each week we highlight a pair of start candidates for your fantasy rosters, focusing on players with a start or roster rate of 50% or less in Yahoo leagues. Likewise, we spotlight one sit candidate at each position who would normally be a starter, but may have limited value due to fewer games. Teams with 3 games: Charlotte Hornets, Cleveland Cavaliers, Los Angeles Lakers, Memphis Grizzlies, Milwaukee Bucks, New York Knicks, Orlando Magic, Phoenix Suns, San Antonio Spurs. Teams with 2 games: Atlanta Hawks, Boston Celtics, Brooklyn Nets, Chicago Bulls, Dallas Mavericks, Denver Nuggets, Detroit Pistons, Golden State Warriors, Houston Rockets, Indiana Pacers, Los Angeles Clippers, Miami Heat, Minnesota Timberwolves, New Orleans Pelicans, Oklahoma City Thunder, Philadelphia 76ers, Portland Trail Blazers, Toronto Raptors, Utah Jazz, Washington Wizards. Team with 1 game, Sacramento Kings. Without further ado, let's examine some tougher start-sit decisions for Week 18. Guard start. Nick Smith Jr., Hornets, 13% roster rate. With LaMelo Ball frequently sidelined due to his troublesome ankle, the Hornets need as many playmakers as possible. Smith has stepped up in his 2nd season and enters Week 18 in excellent form. Before his ejection in Charlotte's last game before the All-Star break, he averaged 19.6 points, 3.2 assists, and 2.8 rebounds over his previous 5 games, shooting 54.4%, including 45.7% from 3-point range. Although Ball may return Wednesday against the Lakers, Mark Williams is likely to remain out, increasing Smith's opportunities across the team's 3-game week. Start, Stephon Castle, Spurs, 20% start rate. Castle had an impressive All-Star weekend, finishing 2nd in the AT&T Slam Dunk Contest and earning the Castrol Rising Stars MVP trophy. His momentum has carried over from the regular season, where he has averaged 18.3 points on 47.4% shooting, including 39.5% from deep, 4.3 rebounds, 3.5 assists, and 1.3 steals over his last 10 games. Scoring 20-plus points in 5 of those games, Castle remains a strong play in a 3-game week. Also consider Tyus Jones, Suns, 33% start rate. Sit, Malik Monk, Kings, 77% start rate. Monk has been productive since moving into a starting role, but with only 1 game this week, his value diminishes. His recent struggles, shooting just 38.0% over the last 6 games before the All-Star break, further support benching him for the week. Forwards. Start, Kyle Kuzma, Bucks, 48% start rate. Since being traded to the Bucks, Kuzma has grown increasingly comfortable, averaging 20.0 points, 9.5 rebounds, and 2.0 assists while shooting 50.0% in the last 2 games before the break. While Giannis Antetokounmpo's expected return may slightly reduce his usage, Kuzma should still benefit from the defensive attention focused on Giannis. Start, Max Strus, Cavaliers, 10% roster rate. Strus found his rhythm before the All-Star break, averaging 11.1 points on 39.0% 3-point shooting, 5.6 rebounds, 3.3 assists, and 1.0 steals over his last 9 games. His shooting efficiency has improved since his return from an ankle injury, and he faces favorable matchups against the Knicks and Nets, who rank 30th and 26th respectively in three-point shooting defense. Also consider Harrison Barnes, Spurs, 19% roster rate. Sit, Keegan Murray, Kings, 77% start rate. Murray is another king to bench due to the one-game schedule. Additionally, his scoring has declined this season, averaging just 12.0 points per game on a career-low 43.5% shooting. With fewer shot attempts and Zach LaVine taking on a larger role since joining the team, Murray's fantasy outlook is weak. This week, centers start. Jaxson Hayes, Lakers, 26% roster rate. Hayes suffered a facial contusion before the All-Star break, but should be ready to play in Week 18. With Anthony Davis traded to the Mavericks, Hayes has secured the starting center role. Over his first 6 starts, excluding injury-shortened games, he has averaged 8.7 points, 5.8 rebounds, 2.2 assists, 1.7 blocks, and 1.3 steals. Playing alongside elite playmaker Luka Doncic should further boost his production. Start, Santi Aldama, Grizzlies, 44% roster rate. Despite coming off the bench, Aldama remains an efficient fantasy contributor. Before the break, he averaged 13.3 points, 5.7 rebounds, and 2.1 assists over his last 12 games, shooting 37.5% from 3 on 5.3 attempts per game. His career-best numbers in multiple categories make him a viable option at either forward or center. Also consider Jusuf Nurkic, Hornets, 25% start rate. Sit, DeAndre Ayton, Trailblazers, 53% start rate. Ayton is not expected to play this week, due to a left calf strain that may sideline him for multiple weeks. Even before the injury, he had been inconsistent, scoring in single digits in 2 of his last 3 games. He should be benched until further notice.